So Nam Aloha, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. And I'll just pop up the comments, and it would be great if you could put your name down and where you're logging in from. Right on. Awesome. Good. We've got some people showing up. Okay, I want to have all my things ready. So we're going to be doing the ego cards today through the signs, because I feel like that gives it a whole other new dimension, a fuller dimension of what you're letting go of for this lunar eclipse. So it could go long, so hunker down if you want to stay for the long haul, and I won't be offended if you have to leave. Okay? So great. Heather from North Carolina. Awesome. Rachel Mukunde is here. So I'm going to share the screen. So if you haven't watched, I did a pre-eclipse message yesterday, kind of spontaneously, because I mixed up the days. I put May 14th instead of May 13th because of that crazy moon kept me up late at night, early in the morning. So watch that, because there's a good message in there too for us. And then, of course, my other video just on a fuller description of the shadow pattern that the lunar eclipse is in. And oh, and Karen's here, awesome, from New York and Sweden. Camilla, welcome, and Sabrina from Kentucky, and more are joining. And it's my father's birthday today, so I know he's probably not watching this. If you're a projector and you know human design, or maybe just your family's never interested in what you have to share. But anyway, I just want to wish him a blessed day today. Okay, so let's go into the chart. And we're going to go me and the zodiac. There we are. Oh. It's doing weird things again. I'm going to see. Okay. This is such a learning curve, this application. Okay, why is it doing that? Okay. Okay, I am going to quit it. When in doubt with technology, it's always reboot. Okay. And then, there we go. Still doing the same thing. Oh, there we go. Just bear with me, everybody. Okay. It's Mercury retrograde too, right? Okay. That works, but when I want to do the zodiac overlays. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay. And let's see here. I just want a better view of that. Just let me check to see what you guys are seeing. Oh. Okay. Turn that off. let's do me in images. Let's try that. Okay. My frustration here. Okay, I'm just going to surrender it. Okay. I just want to do this. Okay, we're just going to be here. Because this is the one that the overlays of the zodiac signs come in this way, so people can well, I'm going to timestamp it too, but it's easier for me to see it, to timestamp. This makes it faster for me. So if you can see you can just zoom into this chart. Okay, that's good. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay. And then let's just put me. Okay. Man, oh man. I did have all this set up perfectly before I got online. Okay, so let's leave it like this. So we can get into this. So this is the chart for the lunar eclipse. And so like I said before, it's the time 6:14 p.m. in Hawaii Standard Time. So on May 15th. And then it could be May 16th, right? So if you're living in Sweden or somewhere like that, check that out. But this is the official chart. So we're going to be talking about this 14. So just quickly, right? You got the channel, which gives it definition in the human design chart. This is the transit chart. So you've got the 4323, and those are in the nodes, which are very important. So this is the channel of, it's called the Freak the Genius channel. It gives deep, deep insights, right? So it's about reframing your experience. And so if you have this channel yourself, you're here to share when invited, because it's all about timing. They can blurt things out, the people with the 4323, and then get the stink eye, right? If it's not invited, like, she's crazy, like, what's she on, right? But if you're invited with this 4323, then you can give like great insight. So if you want to say in the chat if you've got that channel, but we're all being influenced by it right now. So we're seeing things differently. Insight, right? It's not outsight. Like looking out here, it comes from deep within. And it's a very powerful channel. So this is what the nodal axis that we're in, going from the shadow of deafness, not listening to your own inner voice, listening outside, being deaf to your own soul, and moving into simplicity, right? And that's listening to your intuition, making things simple. And just for a hot tip for people, if you have this, well, we're all in the transit, right? Simplicity, a good thing to, when your mind is kind of spinning out of control in that shadow of complexity, is do something with your hands. So it could be doing dishes or going gardening, right? Something with your hands that will bring you into this gift of simplicity. Or if you have a mala, right, or a rosary bead, just doing that helps too. Something with your hands will help with this, to access this gift of simplicity. And then we've got the 2151, right, going from the ego, that's that pink center there, into the yellow, which is the higher self, the sense of self. So this is the channel of initiation. So being initiated into the higher self, right? So moving from the ego into the higher self, which is the game right now, right? We have to move out of the ego, and this is the Piscean age. It's been ruled by the ego. for thousands of years, and it's breaking down, right? The ego is starting to break down, be dismantled. So the people that are attached and identified with their ego, they're going to have a hard time, right? And are identified with their mind right now. The word right now is surrender. It's just surrendering, right? The 25, the gift of the 25 in this channel of initiation is acceptance. That's baseline consciousness, like right there. Baseline is stop fighting with the outside world, right? And what's going on out there. It's just to go into this deep acceptance. And the people are like, but we're complying, we're agreeing with it. It's like, no, you're not. You're accepting. It's the phenomenal world. Everything comes and goes. This too shall pass. Right? I want to get that tattooed on my arm. That mantra is like saved me so many times, right? This too shall pass. The good things too shall pass. So not get attached, right, to either the good or the bad. Life's a wave, right? It comes and everything's coming and going. And then, so just accept whatever is happening in your life. Like, where are you being guided right now, especially with the lunar eclipse? Where are you being guided to let go? Especially people. It's about our relationships. And then the gift of the 51 is the awakening, right? It's the awakening. It's the shadow of agitation, right? It's like, I have to change. I have to change. Something in me is showing me, like in a visceral way with that 51, that I have to initiate and go to somewhere new and better, right? It's always going to be better. And then, okay, so this is the 214. So this is unusual, right, to have so many channels and so many definitions during the lunar eclipse, which is showing us that this is collective, right? Because the collective is being influenced deeply by this transit. So then you've got the 214, right? This is the channel of the beat. This is your spiritual GPS, and the 14 is directly connected to that. The 2 is the magnetic monopole. That's where the magnetic monopole lives. Notice I say monopole. It's one pole, so it attracts, right? Keeps us in the illusion of the Maya, right? This second gate. So it attracts things to us. It doesn't repel, it attracts. Right? So it's attracting people and your experiences and circumstances to you. And then it's connected to this 14, right? And this is the gift of bounteousness, right? So it's bringing prosperity to you. And prosperity is not just about coin and money. It's about people, your relationships, your health, your soul purpose, your enjoyment of life. It's far deeper and richer than what we've been conditioned to believe prosperity is, you know? So this is like we're getting initiated. We're getting huge insights about our life. The lights are coming on. We're seeing people in truth now. And we're being guided, like the 214 is getting us on the right track, right on the right road. So powerful time. So let's dive right into the collective, what's going on for the collective. And so the North Node's all about self-value, right? It's all about self-value. It's in Taurus, right? It's in the archetype of Taurus. Just want to get things out of the way here. Okay. Okay, so I already covered the Saturn squaring the sun and the moon yesterday in my message, pre-eclipse message. So we're making a choice. You know, go watch that video if you haven't watched it already. So, and it's about embracing discomfort. We're all in a period of discomfort and unease and uncertainty, and we're all feeling fear. And I was meditating on this today. It kind of gives me a little comfort that no, we're all in it together. You know, it's just not us anymore, the spiritual people, that we're all in it together now. So you got to start valuing yourself. And especially if you've been on the spiritual journey for a while and you've been teaching healing and life coach, whatever you're doing, and you're really working on yourself, you're doing your inner work, and it can get frustrating, right? That this isn't valued in our society. They'd rather throw a bunch of money at somebody that can throw a ball in a hoop, or put a puck in a net. Like, they get paid so much money, and it's like, it shows us how the collective has valued the wrong things. And then we don't support single mothers, we don't support teachers. That's of true value, because this is what's creating our future of humanity, right? So as a collective, we're not valuing the right things. Or celebrities. Somebody, who's our royalty in the United States and around the world? Our celebrity culture, right? And who are they? They're pretending to be someone they're not, right? Like, who's the best at pretending they're somebody they're not, right? Not being authentic. So everything's like coming right side up again. And we're going to start valuing teachers, and we're going to start valuing mothers and the family, right? And the family unit and those things. You can see, it's really easy to see where where we're all being pulled down the wrong path. Just watch what the collective is doing. Like, watch mainstream media. Like, what are they up to, right? And it's always a sign for me. It's like, oh, there's power. The family unit's being broken apart, right? They're pitting men and women against one another. Like, look at that crazy. They're live streaming that Heard and Depp court case every single day. And I see like thousands and thousands of people getting distracted by this. And it's pitting men and women against one another. So anything that's bringing us into conflict as a collective, like, there's no power there. It's pulling you away from where we're going in the Aquarian age, and they're just huge distractions. So this shadow pattern, the lunar eclipse, is in the 14, connected to our spiritual GPS. This is the belief that we have no power, right? So that's when you're in the shadow pattern, and we're letting that go. People are waking up now to, like, hey, wait a minute, I do have power, right? I have spiritual power, especially when we come together, right? As a collective eventually, but just finding your soul tribe right now. And that's why this relationship theme is really up for us right now, is finding our soul allies and, like, valuing yourself. I'm not going to play this game anymore where I play small and little in relationship to you so you can feel good about yourself. That's the ego games. I need to feel you. I need to let you know what a crappy person you are, and I'm going to point out all your flaws and criticize you so I can build myself up. That's the ego, right? And then it works two ways. It takes two to slam dance. The other person that's accepting that, oh, they're right, I am a horrible person and I do have this flaw, their ego is deflating. Do you see? It's an ego game, right? So it's breaking out of this channel of initiation, breaking out of this ego and moving into the higher self. And that's where your true values come. They don't come from your ego, because it's all conditioning, because it's all about what the outer world values. Beauty and youth and superficiality and money and the material wealth. The true values are coming from your soul, right? Compassion and kindness and, right, healthy self-esteem, knowing who you are, right? They're not coming out from out there. They're coming from in here. So the other thing is, we believe we have no power as a collective, that we need rulership. We need somebody to tell us what to do. We need somebody to tell us what not to do. And this has been going on for thousands of years, right? We're transmuting the archetype of the slave, and especially you generators and manifesting generators out there in the human design world, you're really in this lesson, because you have all the energy. You've got the life force energy, the build, whatever they want you to build, and it's like standing up and saying, no more. You don't have access to my energy. This is my energy. I get to choose what I do with this energy. So I remember as a teenager, right back in the day. And I'm an early indigo, right? We're the tear down crew for the tearing down the Piscean age so that the Aquarian age can be built. And telling my parents as a teenager, like, who made up these rules, right? Who chose this system? I didn't agree to this, right? Why do we have to follow these rules, right? The government takes a percentage of my money and then does whatever it wants with it without my consent, right? Down the road of destruction and killing people. I didn't agree to that, right? And my parents, of course, thought I was insane. Like, where are you getting these crazy ideas from? Because they were coming from deep inside me, right? From my past lives, too. So, and then not falling for the thing of like, well, you vote, right? That's your power, is your vote. And here's the person bringing, well, you have this evil or you have this lesser evil. And there's your choice, right? That's not free will. That's not choice. So do you see how like our whole system has to break down right now for the Aquarian age? And we have to realize like, oh, people are going to start opening up their eyes and like, no, we don't need people telling us what to do and what not to do, right? But the ego is like, well, there'll be anarchy. No, there won't. There's a self-organizing principle at work in the spiritual world that brings us all together, right? When we're aligned with our own truth, right? So it's about really aligning with you first. Like, never underestimate the power of the individual to change the world and to send that frequency of truth, right? So we all need to be in truth right now, right? And then we'll be coming from a truer place. Like, well, let's use this energy to help people, right? Like get clean water, like basics, clean water, affordable housing, healthy foods, right? Basic things like that. I'm just throwing ideas out, right? There's going to be lots of new, creative, innovative things coming. But this is what the lesson we're in. And really, it's like if you go back to the individual, it's about you standing up to your own mind and your own ego, right? Because we're in a spiritual war, right? I'm not exaggerating. We're in a total spiritual war right now, but the enemies aren't out here. They're inside each one of us. So we have to stand up to our ego and stand up to our conditioned mind, our brainwashed mind, right? And saying, enough. I'm listening to my soul now. That's my authority. That's my true authority. So, right, I'm listening to Big G. I'm not listening to Little G. Little G wants to usurp Big G, right? That's the whole agenda, is to have people like worshiping and bowing down to Little G. It's not your true ruler. Your true ruler is your divinity, right? Big G. So, anger. Are people feeling a little bit angry? I am a little bit coming up. I got Mars. Mars is really squaring my sun stuff. It's good. So there's different frequencies of anger, right? There's the anger coming from the ego that's like, I'm not accepting, right? I want to fight the external. I don't like what's going on here. There's this frustration. Generators and manifesting generators know this. There's this frustration. Things are not going my ego's way. Where I think my ego is saying that things should be going. There's that anger, right? There's anger about being triggered in your life. Somebody says something to you and you get triggered, and that goes back to your emotional body, 0 to 7 years old. Right? Anger's coming up, right? Anger's coming up. And it's usually mental. It has to do with your mind, right? Anger. If you want to work through this psychologically, it's a mental, when you're angry sometimes you get angry at someone and you're at, maybe you chose to meet, right? You meet at a certain time and the person doesn't show up and you get really angry. Like, they don't value me and they don't listen to me and they didn't even show up and they didn't call. So there's a misunderstanding. And then later you find out, oh, they got in a car accident or, right? Something happened that that they couldn't communicate to me or couldn't get to me, but it's a mental thing. It's misunderstanding, and it goes back to childhood. And underneath that anger is fear and grief. And that's what you need to work through. And a lot of people stay in the angry stage. So what I'm talking about is righteous rage. Righteous rage. That's the anger that's coming from the divine. That's the story of Jesus in the temple, right? With the moneylenders, and he's flipping the tables over and whipping them to get out of my Father's house. That's my favorite Jesus story, right? And this is the righteous rage, right? And this is what we have to start tapping into, right? Is this righteous rage, because it's going to strengthen us. It's spiritual strength. It's a good thing. So when you feel that, and I was saying yesterday in my message is if I'm around a victim, right, who's like fully like in their victim story and refuse to get out of it, I'll listen to that person, right? I'll listen to that person. But as soon as they start repeating themselves, or I'm in tune with my body too, right? My solar plexus will start to quiver, like a little tiny quiver. And this is the anger, right? Because I know myself. There's a little anger coming up. And what it's showing me is like that person is overstepping my boundary, right? And wants me to feed them energetically, wants me to feed them with my attention and my energy. Feed this victim story, right? So you want to be aware of your body. And that's when I say no, right? You're repeating yourself, right? You're not really open to any guidance. It sounds like you want to stay stuck here. And I'm not a receptacle for your pain, right? That's not my purpose here on earth, right? Is to help you, empower you to get out of this, right? Some people they don't want to move out of their victim story because they got to take self-responsibility for what they've created. So this is like the little kind of embers of the righteous rage, right? So this is what people have to get in touch with. It's like, no, we're not going to jab a 6-month-year-old. No, we're not going to do this as a humanity, right? So it's just standing up, but it's like the little things. Like I said, little things are huge in the spiritual world, right? So you standing up for the truth in your world, whatever your world is showing you. And that's the lesson. Sometimes we don't have to even take action. We have to say, this is my line in the sand, right? This is my deal breaker, right? This is about self-respect, like respecting yourself and having dignity, like self-dignity. And you've heard of this, like the thing is the negative forces are trying to take away the self-respect of humanity. It's like, how far will they go? How far will they bend over, basically, right? This is the game. Because once your self-respect is gone as a human, like you're gone, you're a zombie, you're completely gone. And you may have heard of this in China. They have these new, like the cookie test, you know what I'm talking about? The cookie test to see if you need to be quarantined, right? Where they're sticking the big Q-tip up the butt of the person, of the human, bend over, and because we got to see if you've got it in there, right? Is that about science? No, it's about taking someone's self-respect away. As soon as you're doing that, you're gone. You're not a human anymore, right? So this is like getting in touch with that righteous rage. Like, no, I'm not doing this. And no fear of the consequences. No. Because when you're in that frequency of righteous rage, the divine is moving through you, right? So there you are, you're a little wave on the ocean, but you're the ocean. You know the power of the ocean. Tsunami, right? This is your power when you tap into that. So this is the lesson that we're in right now as a humanity, is like claiming back our self-respect, right? Our self-respect. And I just want to share a little story because the stories really help to ground this. I had a really good friend, and she was sexually abused as a child, and she would attract these like sexually assaulted as an adolescent and then as a teenager. And so she was on the bus. She was an adult, like in her 20s then, and she was going home, and it was dark, right? It was late at night, and there was this really creepy guy in the back of the bus, and he was like looking at her, like staring at her. And she started to get into fear, right? Like, what's going to happen, right? What's going to happen to me? And predators can smell that fear off their prey, right? Like, let's go right to the animal. This is animal nature, right? Power. So she gets off the bus, and he gets off the bus too, and he's following her. And she's getting more and more afraid. She goes to a corner store, and there's just this old lady, right, at the counter. And she goes back to the freezer section, and she sees him walking into the store, right, coming towards her. And she said she just had this moment. This moment. I just need a moment, because it's very powerful. She had this moment, and you know, in the spiritual path, right? It's like sometimes the time just stops. Have you ever had that experience? Like, time just stops, and you can feel the choice, the trajectory, right? If I go this way, I'm going to die. That's where I'm going to end up. Dead, murdered, right? That's where I'm going to end up. Or if I go this route, I don't know where this route's taken me, but I'm not going that route. So she had this moment of like, this is never going to end until I end it. Right? And then she said, she just looked at him, and she was like filled with this righteous rage. And she said, if you want to kill me, kill me. Like right now, right here. What do you want to do? Do you want to take my life? Yeah, take it. But I'm going down fighting, right? Looking at him straight in the eyes. And this man, he turned into a little rat, a little tiny cockroach. And he just scurried away. He ran away. And she said after that point, she never attracted any of that to her anymore, right? Any of that crazy predator attention, right? It ended. So this ends when we end it. That's the message that I want to share with people, right? So this is like just standing up. She didn't have to fight, right? She didn't have to punch him or fight him off. The fight is inside. That's where the fight is. So, yeah. So that's my message. She's really close to me, so that's why I get emotional. Okay, so let's go to the signs. Oh, actually, let's do a card for the collective. Oh, we're on it. Okay, so we want to see what the ego is telling the collective. So the lunar eclipse for the collective is letting go, right, of this need for rulership and scorpionic rulership, which is all about deception and manipulation. We're tired of that game. Okay. So let's see. The ego telling the collective. What's the ego telling the collective? Yeah. just do the... Let's talk first about this. So it's the Death card, right? And this is the ego's last, the ace up the sleeve, right? Is pulls out this. And this is like suicide, right? This is what this is talking about. It's just like, you might as well just die. Like, the world's not getting any better. There's no hope, right? People are not, there's no true leadership on the planet. People aren't recognizing true leaders yet. Leaders are very self-serving, right? Self-centered narcissists. So what we're dealing with is the narcissist. So this is the ego, right? Just check out, right? It's got to be better than this, right? It's got to be better than this. You might as well just die. So this is the temptation. And there's actually the prophecy, of the Aquarian age, is that a lot of people will make this choice. A lot of people make this choice, and you may have a loved one that's made this choice, right? I know lots of people, like really powerful spiritual people, that have chosen to check out, right? And even subconsciously with the jab, right? I feel like people they know, subconsciously they know where that's going to end up, So this is something to be aware of. And so we don't want to go into judgment because that can happen too with loved ones, is if they make this choice, is to not to go into judgment, to just feel, because there's a lot of suffering here, right? But the thing is, if your ego's telling you this, just check out, right? Just get out of here. You're going to be back again, like really, really quickly, not only with your karma from this lifetime, but your karma, like more karma will be piled up on you, right? So it's not a way out. We don't escape that way. We can only escape through growth, through transcending our fears, right? Doing our soul purpose, basically. So if the ego is telling you this, just like, no, I'm not listening to you, right? I'm not listening to you. This is the dark night of the soul, a Shaktipad that we talk about in Kundalini Yoga, right? It's that the dark night. It's a spiritual test, the dark night of the soul. And are we going to trust, right? Are we going to put our faith, 110% faith in the divine? Or are we going to listen to this, right? So that's our test. We're in a spiritual test, so just be aware of that. And we're going to see this with the collective. Lunar eclipses, right? It's about people going. Okay, so let's see what the gift is for the collective. Okay. It's the gift of undoing. That's really interesting. So undoing, this is a great gift to have in your toolbox, actually, because we fall off the horse sometimes, especially as spiritual people, and then we beat ourselves up about it, So I do this if I'm sometimes I get a little irritated if I'm out and about, and because I'm very sensitive to energies, and there's crazy energy out in the world, and say a cashier was like nasty, because they're sitting in it all day, right? They're nasty, and then I'll unconsciously be kind of little, just pound them a bit with the truth bat, right? As a spiritual person, I'll do this. I'll call on this, because right away it's like there's the natural guilt that comes up that you feel. There's a natural guilt, like, oh, I wasn't very compassionate there in that situation. So I forgive myself, and then I do this gift of undoing. Please undo any harm that I've done to this person, right? And please undo that. And this is our power, that we can undo any kind of negative energy, right? So this could be about, with the collective, is about guilt coming up with the collective and all the mistakes that they've made. There could be a lot of that too when the lights start coming on. You know what it's like when you get on the spiritual path? Oh, wow. You know, because you get to look at the shadow. You got to face your shadow. You got to face all those emotions and maybe the mistakes that you made. Is to use this gift, right? This is a real compassionate gift, and it's an empowerment gift, right? It's a gift of empowerment, and it really works, right? It really, really does work. So be aware of that, because we make mistakes, right? We're humans. We make mistakes. It's about, a narcissist will never admit to making a mistake or apologize, right? But you can as a spiritual person. Okay, so that's the collective. Are you feeling the power of this lunar eclipse? I am. I totally am. Okay. Before we get into the signs, I just want to see the comment section. Okay, Kootenai's great. Move with Nikki. You know, I was in Nelson. I was actually thinking of moving to Nelson at one time, but things were falling apart. That's the universe always shows you, right? Like, no, I wasn't supposed to be there in the Kootenays. Alchemical fire. I'm a generator, and I feel it's the projectors in my life who don't want to hear anything I have to say. Yeah, well, they're not being their true self, right? Yeah, the projectors can get very superior. I know what's wrong with you, and I'm going to tell you. And don't want feedback. That's funny. Linda, New York. Linda, I thought you lived on the West Coast, Linda. UK, Vienna. Oh, Vienna and Michelin from Montreal. Okay. Oh, Joanna's got the 2343. She's got great insights to share when invited. Not the channel. Yeah. Rachel Reed's talking about the drama, right? That's where I like my drama, only on Netflix. And the news is like, it's like cartoonish now to watch the news, you know? I remember, I think I said this story before. I would go to, my ex-wife and I, we would go to early morning sadhana in Vancouver, 4 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. every morning. And then we come home to our apartment, and I never got the newspaper, right? I knew it was a propaganda machine, but we'd see the headlines. I'd see the headlines as I passed by, right, into the apartment. And just the headlines were insane. And if they couldn't find they couldn't find a negative thing to report, it would be like, do you remember that hurricane that we had 10 years ago? Right? Or this horrible thing that may happen. Some viral outbreak will happen in the future. And it was just like, it's a game. It's all about grabbing your attention. I talked about this. You see what you believe. And then this is how these events get manifested through us. The negative shadow forces have no creative power. We have all the creative power. So we've got to watch the information that's coming in and what we believe. And to me, it's like so cartoonish, right? Are people buying this story, this narrative? It's crazy. Okay. Rachel Reed, I need a tribe, yeah. Sometimes you gotta be the community of one, for a while. Okay. Yeah, Rachel Reed. Thank you. Thank you for witnessing that. I wasn't expecting those emotions to come up for me because I'm feeling the love, right, of this person from my past. Yeah. Okay. And Patricia from Ontario, Canada. Okay. Oh, Rachel Reed's got the moon outside your window. Isn't it something? It's really beautiful. Okay. So be sure to put your sign when we come to it. So remember, it's your ascendant, your rising sign first, and then your moon, and then your sun. So sometimes it's like, oh, that doesn't really relate to me, my sun sign. Well, listen to your other ones too, like your rising and your moon. And sometimes it takes a little while. It's like if you're not aware of the dynamic, sometimes it's just to be seeded, and then you'll see it. Right? That's what shadow work is. It's like you plant that seed. You're not saying like, I totally agree with this. You're not saying, no, I don't agree with this. You're like, I'm putting it in the hopper. That's what I say. Putting it in the hopper, and then it can percolate back there. And then if it's true, it's going to manifest in your life, and then you're going to see it. And that's all you have to do with shadow, is to see it. So see where you're compromising, right? For this lunar eclipse. Okay, I think it's, yeah. Where do we want to start? Let's start with Aries. Okay. So let's start with Aries. Aries, sun, moon, or rising in compromise. Oh, it's in the 8th house, the big kahuna house. So this, in terms of relationships, this has to do with your sexual partner, like anyone that you're in a sexual relationship with. So not necessarily, you don't have to be married, but someone that you share resources with. So it could be a roommate, someone like that, where you're compromising. So compromising around money. So somebody that's paying you, right? That's paying you, giving you money, supporting you. To look at where you're compromising, where you're giving your power away, right? Where you're giving your power away, where you're compromising your soul, right? And a lot of people do this anyway. So Aries has to watch that. What happened to the chart? Oh, are we playing this game again? Okay. Let me just fix this. Okay. Let me get in here. Okay. Let's go view. I did something with my mouse last time and it worked. There we go. Okay, so let's do a card for Aries. Okay. This is also too where our traumas are. This is the forces beyond our control, the 8th house. And it's like death, sex, right? Jealousy, envy, all those nasty things we don't want to look at. It's the shadow, right? It's the house. If there's a house of the shadow, it's the 8th house. So there can be some compromising there, like not giving it too much power over you. So remember that you're much bigger than your problems. So to remember that, you're way bigger than your problems. And if you've got a problem, it means that you can transmute it. God doesn't give anybody anything that you can't handle, right? And usually in my experience, if I'm given a big problem, it's always to like, sometimes I have experiences in life and it's like, why did I have that experience? Well, it's to share with other people when it gets cooked, right? When I move through that energy, and then it's sometimes that's the reason, right? You know, next week somebody asks me a question. It's like, oh, I went through that. Here's what I did. Okay. So what's the ego telling Aries? What's the ego telling Aries? 8th house. What's this one? So competition, and that's, I mean, typically that's an Aries trait anyway, it's competition. And that's the 51 if we go to the chart, right? The 5125, and the 51's in Venus. It's all about money, so competing for money, right? And we've been all conditioned to do this. It's like we have to compete, we got to fight for little scraps, little breadcrumbs that are thrown our way. You know, we got to compete in our jobs, our career. We got to stay on our game. You know, we got to run to the Holy Grail up there, right? Where is it taking us? I love that quote with Jim Carrey. He said he wishes that everybody would become famous and rich and wealthy and realize that it's so empty, right? It's so empty. But we're conditioned to do this, so we stay in the game, right? Keep the system, the wheels of the system going. So to watch this. So and you could be the opposite too, right? With competition. Well, Michael, I'm not competitive. Well, maybe you are. It's like, you know, some people become so good at something. Do you know what I mean? They can become so excellent in their field but you have to look at what's driving it. Right? It's like you're still in that frequency of competition, that you've got to be the best. You're best of the best, that nobody can compete with me because I'm so great, right? That's the ego. So the ego is telling Aries that they got to compete. So what's the gift here under competition? Let me get this out of the way. 8th house. Okay. So, you know, underneath that competition is a lack of self-value. Like, let's bring it back to the lunar eclipse. Right? Not believing in yourself, that you're good as you are. Because the thing is, with competition, you're trying to be someone, you're competing to be someone else in a sense, you know? And nobody can compete with me because I'm Michael Neutrino. There's only one Michael Neutrino. There's only one you. So I can only be the best me. Like, who can be the best me? You know, but me. So who can be the best you but you? Right? That's the game, is to be, if you want to compete with yourself. Become a better self. Stay in your own lane, right? Stay in your own lane. So compromising is taking you, oh, I have to compete, believing that ego. I've got to compete with other people so I can build myself up, right? That's the ego. So I can build myself up and feel great. And there's always a winner and there's always a loser, right? There'll always be someone better than you. There'll be always someone less than you. This is the hierarchy that this whole world's been built on. That's false, right? That's breaking down. There's nobody better. There's nobody worse, like in truth. We're all equal. So what's the gift under competition for Aries? Okay, letting go of competition for Aries. And birth. That's great. So you can see this birth right here. Right? So it's something, a new self is being birthed from this person here. So letting go of the competition, right? Competing with other people and allowing this birth to take place. So this is saying, you know what? I'm out of the game. I'm out of this rat race that I've been in, this old way of thinking. The rat race is the old way of thinking. This is the way I get prosperity, right? It's through other people because it's the 8th house. I've got to play the game. I've got to compromise myself so I can get their resources so I can survive, right? I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to allow, I'm going to trust, big G. And I'm going to let something new be birthed from me. Remember, the Aquarian age isn't like a bunch of spaceships coming over the planet and beaming light at us and boom, we're all in the Aquarian age. That consciousness is moving through each one of us, right? It's being expressed through each one of us in a unique way. And that's your contribution. So that's what I see here for Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising, is something wants to be birthed through you, but you need to let go of this old way. You know, you got to look at money, and your resources are coming through big G, right? The big G's ATM that never closes. That's where your resources are coming from. It's not from other people, right? So yeah, that's good for Aries, letting that go, right? Letting that go, that compromise with people that you share resources with, people who pay you your money. Could be your family too, right? Okay, because whoever pays you controls you. That's how it works. That's why this whole thing of, well, I would love if, politicians would have like NASCAR drivers, right, who's sponsoring them, like have patches all over their suits, right? It's like, because it's like the compromise. There's the definition of compromise right there. Whoever's giving you money, you're going to feel compromised because they want a return. They're business people. They want a return on their investment. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the bull, Taurus, and let me know if there's any bulls out there, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Okay, so that is, that's right. It's the seventh house. So that's your partnerships, your long-term relationships, marriage partners too. But you don't necessarily have to be married, but a long-term relationship, right? You may have never married. Involves a contract of some sort. So you could be like have a child together, but not married, like co-parenting, someone like that. So this is about letting that, to stop compromising in your partnerships and to let that go, a long-term relationship. The lunar eclipse is showing you that. And the great thing about eclipses, they're like surprises. They're very Uranian, right? An eclipse is a surprise, and it's like, surprise, right? Your partner's been cheating on you for 5 years, right? Without you knowing. Surprise. Your partner has been embezzling money or hiding money from you. Like some dark secret will just be illuminated, right? And people want to be found out. That's what I find, right? People want to be found out. There's Freudian slips, where they leave the bill, right? They bought their mistress or something, lingerie or something like that, and then the receipt is like left on the floor or something, where you see it, right? It's because was that a mistake, right? Like, look at that. Was that a mistake, really? It's because the people want to be found out. Our nature, we want to be honest, right? We want to be authentic. So to watch that, where are you compromising? Where are you giving your power over to your partner, making their voice more important than your voice? Where are you being talked out of your intuition, right? Where are you believing what your partner's telling you, that you're small and little and you can't survive, or whatever the story, the trip that person's projecting on you, right? Because that's projection. Taurus is in the first house, and seventh house is the partner, right? So what are they projecting? And here's a hot tip for the bulls. Whatever that person is projecting onto you, accusing you of, they're doing that to themselves. They're actually doing that themselves, right? So you're lying to me. You're dishonest. Turn it back on them. Where are you dishonest, right? Where are you lying to me, right? That's the hot tip for shadow, right? Because people are always projecting their shadows unless they're awakened and they're on the spiritual path. They're projecting onto others. So to watch that, Taurus, not to take on this projection, but not to repel it either completely. You want to be an emotional adult about it. And I like to have some detachment. Aquarian age, right? Some detachment. Okay, what's the message with this person? I'm not going to completely say it's all them. Maybe there's a little message in here for me, right? But I let it filter through me, through my knowingness. I don't let people tell me who I am, right? So don't do that, bulls. Don't let another person tell you who you are. Only you know who you are, right? And then you filter it through. Okay, no, there's nothing here for me. There's no message here. This is this person projecting onto me. So have that self-respect to stand up to your partner. Okay, Taurus? And so you really need to hear both my videos, right? And the collective read too. You really need to hear that, because you're dealing with a partner. Okay, so what's the ego telling? Because it's scorpionic, right? So it's going to be, you're dealing with manipulation, you're dealing with deception. Scorpio type partner who doesn't care about you. Okay. Why? They want power. It's power. That's a big word for the Scorpio archetype. Okay. What's the ego telling Taurus about this dynamic? What's the ego telling Taurus? Okay. So it looks like Taurus is distracting themselves by staying busy. Distracting themselves by busyness. So staying busy, busy, busy. So this doesn't necessarily mean busy doing. Maybe you're the busy bee, running around, keeping yourself busy every minute of your day, accounted for, right? It could also be busy in the mind, busy thinking about things, overthinking things, right? That can be busy too. And distracting yourself from what's going on in your partnership, right? What you're dealing with, right? You got to turn on the lights and you got to see the snake that's in the room with you, right? And then you can deal with it. So don't be afraid to look at things in truth. And this is about stopping. That's what I see. I mean, even in the collective lesson through this whole thing, we need to accept what's happening in the world, the travel restrictions and things like that, right? It's all about stopping, going inside, getting clear on what you want in your life, getting clear on your values, what you value, right? So watch this ego saying to be busy, because the busy is about running. I'm going to run away. But wherever you run to, there you are, right? Wherever you go, there you are. You can't escape yourself. Okay, so to watch this with busy. Busy like taking in information, watching YouTubes and Netflix and things like that. Always keeping your mind occupied on something else, except what needs to be looked at and attended to is your own self and how you're feeling, and right? Okay. So let's go to what's the gift under the busyness when you stop being busy. And if you aren't in partnership too, like the other way, because maybe you're a bull and you're not in a partnership right now. I mean, we all deal with people. We can't escape people. We can't escape the reflection. But if you're not in a long-term relationship, to actually stop and just feel what that feels like. right? To deal with the loneliness if you're feeling lonely. Remember, that's a scarcity consciousness, is loneliness, but you can't spiritual leapfrog into that place until you feel like, oh, what does it feel like to be just on my own? A community of one for now. To let that loneliness go. And making room too. There's an old, one of these tribal stories, you know, and there was this man and he was ready to get married, right? He was ready to get married and he was a bachelor, like getting a little bit older, and he was a bachelor for many, many years, right? And he went to see the healer and the tribe, right? And the healer come, you know, I want you to help me attract a mate, right? My wife, because he wasn't married before. So she walked into his little hut, and right away she said, "Well, you gotta get another chair. You only have one chair." Right? So the lesson is just to make room, right, for the bowls that are single, right? Is to make room for the new partner and a space. And the busyness, you can't be busy, like you got to make time too for a partner, right? So it's making a space for that. That's another side that we want to look at it too. So letting go of this busyness, letting go of singledom, right? What it means for you to be single. Setting your own ways, right? When you're single. It's really easy. Easy to get set in your ways. Okay, so what's the gift for Taurus? Oh, this one jumped out. Oh. So it's called Homecoming. Homecoming, and you can see it's two people holding hands. They're walking down a country road towards the sun. It's a very happy card. So coming home. Coming home in the 7th house. So it's about relationships. I mean, there's two figures in the card. It's all about relationships. Letting go of this with the ego. Keep you busy, 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 busy. Getting in touch. Right? Being present with people too. This is about being present. Slowing down. Right? Slowing down the mind, slowing down your life. And I always think of, our life is moving so fast. I don't know if you're experiencing that too. Like the years are flying by so quickly now because of this. The Schumann resonance is changing too, and that's like controls our perception of time, right? So we're moving faster, we're evolving faster. But we have power over time. Like we can bend time. So this is about just slowing down, like enjoying life. Be the bull. The bulls want to be in the pasture, smelling the roses, ferding on the bull, right? Just, taking it easy. Coming home into your heart, coming home to yourself, not in the busyness of the mind and listening to the ego, but the heart and listening to nature, right? It's very healing to be in nature for Taurus, because then you're tuning into the heartbeat of the earth and you're coming to alignment, right? This is homecoming. Yeah. And then you'll attract, right? You'll attract for the single bulls. You'll attract the right person, like letting go of the toxic one, and then the new one can come in that's more aligned with you spiritually. That's beautiful for the Taurus. Any Taurus out there? Oh, Stephanie's from the Baja. Awesome. It sounds like you're still there. Okay. I think Rachel didn't you have Rachel, you've got some Taurus in you? Yeah, Taurus sun. Yeah, and you've been alone, right? Yeah, that's spot on. So you got to get a chair. You got to buy a chair. And Karen is Taurus rising from New York. Yeah. So you got to buy a chair. You got to make a space in your closet. Things like that. For the single ones. And slowing down. Because this is the busy bee, right? I tell people all the time, you got to be the flower. You can't be the bee, right? The flower lets the bees come to them. If you're this, right? What are you going to do? You're going to pass by the bee. The bee's looking for you. Where is she? Where is she? Right? The busyness keeps you out of your flower, the flower essence. Remember, you're attracting. We're all of us, men and women, attracting what we need to us. An octopus ago is Taurus sun. Awesome. The bulls are here. So let's go for Gemini. Let's go for Gemini. Okay. Let's put these cards away. Gemini. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's in the sixth house for Gemini. So this could be about co-workers. Watch that. Oh, did it disappear? There we go. This is the sixth house is about co-workers, people you work with. Also, your daily routines with the sixth house. Your responsibilities and your duties. So in terms of relationships, it would be your co-workers. Your relationship, even your pets too, can be your pets. So letting go of anywhere where you compromise your health too, compromising your health, Gemini. And Gemini's, the archetype of Gemini is about the nervous system, right? They've got to deal with their, because they're so high strung anyway, Geminis are, that you've got to watch that, like too much spinning out of control, having an unhealthy, giving your power over to a coworker or an employee too, because of the sixth house rules employees. What else? It can be open enemies too, right? Compromising, giving your power over to open enemy. That's clearly your arch nemesis, Gemini. Let's do a card just to get the fuller picture here for Gemini and compromise. Ego telling Gemini. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. What's Gemini? What's the ego telling 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 Gemini? Okay. Well, that's interesting. This is the independent card. Independent. So the ego is telling you to be independent in the sixth house matters. So, I mean, we worship this now. We've been conditioned to be this, independent. And the thing is that it's impossible to be independent because we do need each other, you know? We need the fire department. We need the grocery store clerk. Right? We need plumbers. We need each other. That's how we survive. We're a social species, right? Humanity. So independent is like the ego is telling you, you're the island. You know what? I used to have always a fantasy of this. Like I don't want to deal with people, you know, when I was younger. It's just too much. I'm too sensitive. And I'd have this fantasy of being like out on a deserted island all by myself. And what broke that fantasy was watching Castaway. Did you ever see that, Castaway? right? That fantasy just got blown out of the water watching that. Watching him, he had this toothache. Remember? And he had to get the rock to get his tooth out, right? So it's like, yeah, we do need each other. And I always have gratitude, right? I have to bring that sense of gratitude that there are people there to help us, right? To help us. So this is the ego saying to be independent. So there's dependency, codependency. That's really unhealthy. That's an unhealthy ego expression. I need you. I can't survive without you. And then there's this, and this is ego too. I don't need anybody. I'm going to do it all by myself, right? And then there's interdependence. And that's what we're, it's the recognition that we do need each other, but we can survive, right? Two, we can survive too, that we don't need to be codependent on people, right? So, so this is letting this go. You're compromising your soul, who probably wants you to connect with other people. Let's see what the gift is, so we'll get a clearer vision of this. Carmen, 0 degrees, Gemini moon, but I feel more like a Taurus moon. That's interesting. Because you're not in a later degree. Oh, that makes sense, right? Because you're so close to like 29 degree Taurus moon. Because we can feel both. I'm a 1 degree Leo moon, but I totally relate to Cancer moon too. My North Node's in Cancer. Okay. And I'm late degree Taurus, and I can identify with Gemini. The archetype of Gemini too. Okay. So what's the gift for Gemini under this independence? Oh. So this is keeping the creativity away from you. It's a figure of somebody painting. So getting creative with 6th house matters, right? How you work, your day-to-day work. This is making it way too hard for you. You know, that independent ego. The ego is never going to give you advice that's true and make your life easier, because the ego thrives on conflict, right? And struggle and strain. That's the ego's food. Creativity is the easy way. The creative solutions. And this doesn't come from your mind, right? Your mind's all about the past. This is about like that. Oh, I hadn't thought of that before. Wow. But you got to get this ego out of the way that's blocking this creativity that wants to move through, right? Around the way you work, right? Your daily routines. So to let this go and accept support, right? Especially from the divine. This is divine energy, is creativity. Yeah. And it feels so good. So I would go, I mean, if you want to do some healing work on this, Gemini, is to go back to childhood, right? Because there's a point in our childhood, and the child is so powerful, right? The child in us never grows up. The wounded child is I remember this myself, right? It's my mother was a teacher, the irony of ironies, because I was the last one that she wanted to teach anything to. Like, I don't know why. I do know why, but we don't need to go into that. God bless her. But anyway, she was teaching me to ride a bike, and I was like 4 or 5 years old. And I was so in tune with her, I could feel her stress, right? And plus she's a manifester, and they're angry anyway if they're not operating correctly, and impatient, right? So she's teaching me to ride a bike, and I'm trying to like manage the emotions coming from her. And then I remember just as a child, like, screw you, like taking off and teaching myself, right? I'm just going to teach myself now. I'm going to teach myself to ride a bike. And so this can follow you, right? Because I had this attitude. Nobody can teach me anything. I got to teach myself everything. There's no support. And it makes life really harder than it has to be, right? And then this creativity, you want to look at this creativity coming through. So there could be an event like from your childhood where the child decided, like, I'm doing it on my own. I'm done with, nobody's going to teach me. Nobody can help me. Nobody can support me. I have to do everything myself. And this is where the ego wants us, all of us, isolated, alone, in the belief that there's no support. And here's the creativity trying to come through, right? And the ego is trying to block that. So there's creative solutions for you if you open up to that around your work. Okay. Alchemical fire. God bless the angry manifestors. Yeah. Well, they got a lot to be angry about, actually, manifestors. Because they just want peace. Every manifestor just wants peace. Okay. So let's go for... where are we now? Cancer. Cancers are going through a hard time. Are there any cancers out there? I've got a close Cancer friend on the island. She's going through a hard time. We're so sensitive. Okay. Cancer. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5th house. Yikes. Big lessons around their romantic life, right? So letting go of compromising to their partner, right? Their romantic partner. Plus they've got Saturn. They've got Saturn in the 8th house, right? They're not getting any action at all, right? Saturn delays or blocks anything, so they're not getting that intimacy. Cancers so need that intimacy, right? So not letting go of compromising. You know, if you've got like the grumpy partner, right, or the partner that's grumpy or high needs or not giving you any joy, because it's the house of joy and pleasure and romance. And Cancer's like that, right? To be romanced. It's also love making, like, you know, the 8th house is like, you know, hardcore sex, right? Sexual relationship. And this is the love making, like the whole sensual experience of it, right? It's not, and then, so they're missing out on that, letting that go, and stop compromising yourself. Well, it's about second best, right? Like, oh, well, it's not that bad. This is how we compromise ourselves out of our feelings, right? It's like, oh, the anger is coming up, or grief is coming up, or sadness is coming up. And it's like, oh, it's not that bad. Right? He's not that bad, right? I can't do any better than him, you know? So it's settling for second best. That's what compromise is. So, and missing out on the heart, right? So the 5th house is all about self-expression too, right? It's ruled by Leo, typically. Its natural rulership is Leo. So self-expression, so compromising with that. You can be attracting throat problems. Anytime you attract throat problems, it means you're not expressing, right? You're not expressing yourself, what's really going on for you authentically. Having fun, well, I don't need to have fun, right? Do you see how this works? So Cancer has to let that go. So you're probably letting go of a romantic partner, right? That's got to get the Evo. Which I don't want to sound callous, right? Because yesterday I was talking about that, you know, because there's a lot of grief that comes too when we let go of these people. It's not like the hatchet coming down and then I'm done with this. It's like we've got to do the emotional work too, right? Could be around children too, because the 5th house rules children. So if you're a Cancer mom or dad, you could be making compromises for your children, you know, being more of a banana spine parent rather than, because children want, you know, there's this balance again, right? Like children really, they don't need the harsh punishment, you know? spare the rod, spoil the child teaching, right? They don't need that. But then they don't need banana spine either, with the parent not really being present at all. The child needs limitations. So when a child's acting out, typically, it's because they need limits. They can't express that, right? Because they're children. So the limits are like it's like, this is how far I can go as a child, and I know you'll always be there. They want that security. And then I can bounce off these limits, right? As to grow and evolve. It's the container. It's about creating a container for the child. I remember stories of adults that would, like, there was an adult in a yoga class, and she was like freaking out, well, no, she was an adult, sorry. She was a child, but 7, 8 years old, just freaking out and like caught in this loop, this emotional loop, and couldn't get out of, like screaming and blah, blah, blah. Well, the teacher said, you need to wrap that child up in a blanket, right? So that's what they did. They wrapped up that child in a blanket really tight, and then held the child, and the child's like freaking out, and then finally just calmed down. And that's the metaphor. It's like that containment. It's like we need that containment to feel safe. And if we didn't get that, that's what swaddling is about, right? Because we come into the earth plane, we're so expanded, and we're so vast that we need this containment, right? Like to bring us into our bodies, right? So I don't know why I'm saying that. Oh, because of Cancer in the 5th house. So maybe you need this because it's the inner child, right? Because this is about romance and it's about affection, right? And Cancers need affection. Maybe you need this, right? Like a bathtub can give you that, or having your meditation shawl on and having it wrapped tight so that you can feel cozy. Cozy is the big word. Okay. So stop compromising with your romantic partner. And then there's the gift of bounteousness, your prosperity and abundance of romance. Remember, the universe doesn't like a vacuum, so it can bring in a new romantic partner for you. Or maybe your romantic partner will shift too, right? But bring the focus back to you and loving yourself up. It's the house of self-love. Okay. So what is the ego telling Cancer? What's the ego telling Cancer? What's the ego telling Cancer? What's the ego telling Cancer? Oh, yeah. No surprise here. We're talking about children. So it's the conspiracy of abuse, and you can see the parents are arguing, and the child has his hands over his ears so he can't hear. So this is family stuff. And the other thing too is when you're not expressing, you'll attract throat issues, and then ear issues, hearing, right? Hearing. And this is like getting earaches and stuff. That always goes back to childhood, right? What aren't you listening to? What don't you want to listen to? So this is telling me that the romantic partner is expressing this abuse that you experienced as a child, right? So it doesn't have to be like physical abuse, like your partner may not be physically abusing you, but they could be emotionally abusing you. And emotional abuse is neglect, right? It can be neglect, like not being affectionate with you, not paying attention to you as a partner, just focused on their own thing, right? You're just there to be of use to me, right? Or for me to project my BS on you. So I would look at that, and then to do the healing work is to go back to because we want to get the message. Do you know what I mean? When we do let go of people, we want to really let go of people. Because if we let go of a person, but we didn't get the lesson, we don't escape that person. That person may go out of our life, but we'll attract that same frequency that person held through another name, through another body. Do you see? That pattern repeats, right? We can't escape the mirror until we look in the mirror and look at ourselves. Like, what is this about? Why do I keep attracting these narcissistic partners in my life, right? That don't fulfill my needs. So you want to look at that, like do that. And this is for everybody, right? If anyone you're letting go of, it's just like, get the lesson. So you're not continually attracting it. And once you get a new frequency partner, then it's like, oh, I got the lesson. I finally got the lesson. But it happens inside you, like the shift has to happen inside you. Yeah, so this is about your inner child, right? Cancer, this is all about your inner child. And that's the thing, right? We're the low frequency relationships. I mean, we attract one another so that we can heal these childhood wounds. Because our partner brings that up, brings those dynamics up in us so that we can see it and heal it. Okay, so what's underneath the abuse? And the ego's like, you deserve it, right? You deserve the abuse. Just the way it is. Okay, and what's the gift underneath the abuse conspiracy for Cancer? It's this one. Oh. Okay. So this is showing that it's called freeing the will. Freeing the will. So this is showing that, and it's in the 5th house, that either your romantic partner is imposing their will on you, their willpower on you, or you're doing the same, imposing your willpower on your partner to avoid this, feeling this, your childhood wounds. So freeing the will, the gift here with the freeing the will is stop trying to control this. Stop trying to control your romantic partner. Stop trying to control these emotions that are coming up, your feelings coming up around your lack, right, in that 5th house. And then aligning your will with God's will, right? That's what this is. It's like, I can't fix this. Do you know what I mean? When you get into that space of like, I can't, it's just too big. I don't know where to go. I'm completely overwhelmed by this. You give it up. Give it up to the divine, right? I need Big G to take the wheel because I'm not doing a very good job here, the ego, right? And so then the solution can come. When you let this go, the solution will come. And sometimes prayer. I've had people contact me. Quite a few people actually have emailed me and said, you know, I was really at my wit's end, right? I was so in suffering and I didn't know what to do. And I just put a prayer. It's like, send me to somebody on YouTube that can help me, right? And then they magically find my channel, right? Not to say that I have all the answers, right? There may be somebody different for you, you know, but this is the freeing the will, the gift of freeing the will. It's just, I'm going to give it up to the divine to help guide me, right, through this time. Because my sense is it's a real pattern for Cancer. And Cancers cling, right? They cling to things, right? And they're not so good at letting go. But you need to know as a Cancer, when you let go, Cancers are never single for very long, right? They're never single for very long because people love Cancers, right? They're so nurturing, like they're the perfect partner in many ways, you know, that Cancer archetype. So just to know that, like, if you let go of your romantic partner, that you won't be single for very long. Okay. And I know so many Cancers that are like serial monogamous, right? They're just one relationship after another. But that's healthy for them. Okay. And then we are on Leo, the lion. Leo, the lion. Okay. 2, 3. We're already at almost 2 hours. We're doing good. Okay. So Leo. There we go. Leo. 1, 2, 3, 4. In the 4th house for Leo, the lions. So, okay. So this is compromise related to your mother, because the 4th house rules your mother, rules your emotions, your emotional self. So again, you could be a bit like Cancer is the natural ruler of the 4th house, so there's a connection here. Is talking yourself out of your feelings, right? That's compromise. Talking yourself out of your feelings. What you really want, you know, in life. What do you really want? What emotions do you want to be feeling in your life, right? It's like, don't talk yourself out of it, right? What you really, really want. And Leos have been through a tough time, right? These last, well, since 2012, right? Because Leos are naturally optimistic and sun, they're ruled by the sun, right? But there's been a lot of delay for the Leos. So let me just do a card just so we can get laser focused with the Leos, with the compromise. It's about your emotional world, though, because the 4th house is like the emotional body. Okay. Okay. But definitely, I mean, in terms of relationship, is your mother, if she's still alive, compromising, giving your power over to your mother. Believing that you can't take care of yourself emotionally. That's another one with the 4th house. That you need somebody else to take care of you emotionally. A lot of people do that. It's like, I don't want to deal with my emotions, so I'm going to let someone else manage them and nurture me and take care of me emotionally. And we're here to take care of ourselves emotionally, right? Not to depending on these mother figures in your life. This could be for men and women, adult men and women, looking for a mother in their partner. There's something else that came too. Okay. 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 So what's the ego telling Leo? Tell me what the ego is telling Leo. This one. Oh. It's the conspiracy of failure, and it's a person sitting on a couch, I guess, or a chair in the fetal position, like failure in the 4th house. So this is mother. That's what I see. So compromising, giving your power, not believing in yourself. This could have been in a message sent for Leos by their mother, their earthly mothers, or mother type women in their life. Could be like older mother, because we have that, right? Like we have our definition of relationships is broad, We can have relationships with women that are more like sisters, you know, like a sister really. Oh, that person feels like a sister, like more than a friend. Like she's really like a sister, or this woman friend that I have is really like a mother to me, or this person is more like a father and this person's more like a brother. You know, you probably have those people in your life, and it goes back to past lives too. So this could be compromising with a mother figure in your life, like giving your power over to a mother figure in your life, giving her way too much power over you. So to watch that. And then this belief, like I said, that you're not able to mother yourself. You're not able to create a home for yourself, because the fourth house is all about home. And not sharing your internal self, not sharing your emotions with other people too. Because Leos, people can think, oh, Leo's got it. They're always so happy, right? I had a friend like that tell me that, because I'm double Leo, right? Leo moon, Leo rising. So you're always so happy and optimistic. I really like being around you, right? And I said, wait, hold up. I've got the 5539 channel, the Moody channel. I said, I'm moody, right? I'm an emotional person, but I have the luxury of being able to, like, okay, well, I get to choose today. I really don't want to be around people because I'm feeling really low and emotional today, you know? So not everybody has access to that part of me, you know? So this can deal with that message. Like if you want to do some healing work, shadow work, is to go deeper into your relationship with your own mother and this sense of failure, and to feel it, right? This is the ego telling you that you're a failure. So you can't be measuring your life based on other people and their judgments of you. You don't know, right? You don't know. Let's do the gift card. I always find it interesting when I'm doing my own sign that there's like a block, a little bit of a block. Okay. Underneath this gift of failure for Leo. And just the sense that you're feeling like you're failing at your life. Because the ultimate failure is death. And that's the ultimate failure. And the ego can be judgmental. You should be at this point in your life. You should have this, you should have that. You should be following this script. Otherwise, you're a failure. Okay. So 2 cards for Leo. So there's the blessing, and the creativity, those two together. I just want to go to marriage, actually. That's what's coming up in my mind right now, that we can go into that space too of when people leave. Okay, here we are. Lunar eclipse, right? People are leaving. People are going out of our life. That we hear this. It's like my marriage failed, right? I failed in marriage because we got divorced, right? So there's a huge stigma, right? This institution of marriage is breaking down, which I talked about in my video on compromise. And so this is the ego saying, oh, you failed. You failed at marriage because you got a divorce. You failed because your husband left you, right? Whatever it is, this is the ego telling you that. And it's not true, right? Every relationship has a purpose. And remember, like the vows, the marriage vows, till death do us part. Well, we were dead at 30, right? Back in the day when it was just Saturn, right? It takes Saturn 29.5 years to rotate around the sun. That was our lifespan. Now it's Uranus, 84 years is the average time of death. So that wasn't a big commitment, was it? If you're dead at 30, right? You see how all these institutions are getting revamped. So this is the ego saying that you failed when every relationship has a purpose, right? And we don't determine what that purpose is. Our soul determines that purpose, and our soul determines how long it takes for that purpose to be fulfilled. So maybe it is till you're 90 something. Maybe that's their destiny, is to stay together that long, right? Or maybe it's shorter. So to watch this failure, I failed at this, I failed at that. You don't know the bigger picture, right? The divine plan. So with letting people go, is to bless them, right? Only wish them good and well-being and love and light and all that juicy stuff. Bless everybody that's going away, right? Don't listen to the ego saying that you failed because somebody's leaving your life, right? Don't listen to this. Or somebody's leaving you, right? Because remember, it works both ways for the lunar eclipse. People will be letting you go too, right? To trust that it's not a failure. And then the creativity comes, right? The creativity can come after you let go. This is very emotional, right? Because it's in the 4th house, is to feel that, just go deep into those feelings that the ego is keeping you from, right? This, I'm a failure. I feel like I'm a failure. And there's grief there, right? Don't let the ego make stories up about it. So that's what I got for Leo. It's to stop compromising with these maternal figures in your life. And stop compromising by listening to that ego. Hopefully that makes sense for people. Let's go for Virgo. Okay. Carmen says that so true about the Leo, I know. Yeah, Leo rising, Venus and Leo. It's been difficult. Yeah, it's true. Because we're the lucky sign, right? Leos are very lucky. Okay. Okay, Virgo. Let's go for Virgo. So that's going to be in the 3rd, but I'll double check. 1, 2, 3, yeah. So in the 3rd house, the shadow of compromise for Virgos. So this is siblings, right? It's the house of siblings, your brothers and your sisters. And again, it can be a sister type person that may not actually be your sister. So a woman in your life that's very sisterly like, or a brother, right? So big issues with siblings here, compromising with siblings. And it's also about our thinking, right? So compromising in our thinking. And it's about communication too. Let's see. And it's about our mind too. It's about our mind. And are we receiving compromised information? Because a lot of information is compromised right now from the mainstream media. And Mercury's in retrograde too, which is the natural ruler of the 3rd house. So is the information that you're taking in, is it compromised, right? Is it all about taking your power away? That would be like compromised information. And what about the information that you're sending out? Or you're just being a parrot, right, Virgo? Are you being a parrot? Like, I'm just taking this information and I believe that it's true, and then I'm sending it back out. You want to look at what you're taking in. Are you seeing the truth, right? Are you seeing the truth? This is the age of deception that we're in right now, and we can't use our mind. We can't use our brain to determine what's true and what's not, right? And even the person who has the best intentions can be misinformed, right? You can't, it's not about trusting what's coming out of that person's mouth. Maybe they're an amazing friend, like sibling type, right? Amazing friend and so on the ball and sharp. Still, whatever's coming out of that person's mouth, you still can't take it as truth, like gospel truth. You've got to like put it through your filter, right? Always through your filter. And that means being out of your mind, out of the brain, and being present in your body. And then because truth isn't something you figure out. Truth is a frequency, right? It's a frequency. So you're going to feel that frequency in your own body. So that's my sense, is you're getting compromised information, right? And this is what you're letting go of for the lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse. And it's keeping prosperity away, right? It's the gift of bounteousness, this information. And it's helping you with your communication, right? This is the student. The third house too is the student. Like, what are you taking in? What information are you taking in? Is it true? Do you notice that? Like, wherever you find, we're living on a plane of duality. Wherever you find one thing, you're going to find the opposite. So you can be arguing back and forth this is what people do, because they're not filtering information through their own knowingness, you know? So you're going to find one point of view, you're always going to find the opposite point of view, and then they start arguing back and forth with one another. We see that out in the world, right? So don't get caught in this game, Virgo. Go to your own self, your own BS detector, and you'll know what's true or not for you, right? Don't be getting your information from other people, right? And then saying, this is my opinion now, okay? Okay, so let's see what's for Virgo, what the ego is telling Virgo. The compromise. Okay, what's for Virgo? What's the Virgo? Okay. Oh. We got a double. So Virgo is connected to Cancer. They've got the abuse card too. So this is connected to your sibling, your actual sibling, right? So receiving abuse from your brother or sister in your family, or somebody very brotherly or sisterly in your life. Yeah. So in terms of this, with the third house and information and compromised information, I'm just hearing like an addiction to arguing, like an arguing. I need to make that person see my point of view. My brother or sister needs to know my point of view, and my point of view is the truth, is the absolute truth. So could be this conflict inside you, right? To like really tune in. It's like, what's the motivation behind this information? Like, why am I so adamant that that person needs to hear what I have to say? You know, to look at this like this is the origins of it. There's some kind of abuse that you weren't listened to as a child, right? You weren't respected as a child by your siblings, Virgo. Yeah. Okay, let's see what the gift is, just to get the full picture here. Inner child work. More inner child work. And again, the ego wants us separate from people. I like to play. I think I told you this before with not get attached to any opinions that come into my head. Like, I have opinions, but it really can set people off. You know, I remember at the park once just throwing something out. I've got the 39th gate of provocation and the 51 for shocking, and just threw something out, right? And somebody got so angry at me, and it's like, you need to defend that. And it's like, no, I don't. I don't need to defend anything. All I'm saying is this may be true. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not attached, right? I'm not, it's just an opinion. Right? We have to know that we're not our opinions and we're not our thoughts. Okay. And not parrot something you heard on the internet or on the news. Okay. So what's the gift for Virgo? What's the gift for Virgo underneath this? Another one. We got two duplicates here. Another connection to Leo. Virgo and Leo. Blessing, right? So go back and bless your siblings, your brother, your sister. Go bless everybody, right? Just go into this mode of blessing. And the thing is, what we give out, we receive back. So if you're blessing people in your life that are very sisterly or brotherly to you, the blessing's returning to you. You're blessing yourself, right? You're blessing yourself. And then you get out of this. This is only going to keep you in victim, right? With this using your mind. And Virgos have powerful minds, right? They have very powerful minds, and they're very critical. They can see a flaw a mile away with a person and in themselves. So they can be nasty with their tongues, right? Virgos, nasty, nasty. So this is trying to get back, right? This is really trying to get back at a sibling for being abused as a child. Yeah. So you just want to bless. You don't want to hold on to this. We can't take this crap into the portal. This is not allowed. Saturn is telling us that. What are you bringing? The Saturn's at the bouncer at the door, right? At the portal, right? And they're looking at you and saying, Virgo, you can't take this. Sorry, you can't come into the portal. This is not allowed, right? There's no room for this. You need to let this go. And then you can come into the portal, right? This is what Saturn is telling us for the lunar eclipse. So it's time to let this go. This grudge and resentment. Like, let it go and just bless. Bless. And just, you know, if you're worried about, well, they're not going to pay for what they did to me. It's like, that's none of your business. That's up to God, right? And nobody escapes their karma. Nobody escapes their karma on this planet. So you don't have to worry about that. Just bless them and move on, right? Don't be carrying this poison with you. That's a good one for Virgo. Virgo's going to start blessing everybody and blessing themselves, right? And watching what they're communicating, right, to other people. You can be very hurtful with your words, Virgo, and very hurtful to yourself, you know? And letting go of that attachment to the mind, you know? This is not the time to be using your mind to figure things out and thinking that whatever's going on in your mind is gospel. It's like, no, that's the crazy making up here. That's just going to take you down dead end roads and bad neighborhoods. You got to go inside and feel, right? It's about feeling your way through life. This is a whole other way of experiencing life, that we're the solar plexus mutation that's happening. Okay. Virgo's got some tough love. Any Virgos out there? Yeah. Carmen, Virgo rising. Yeah. Two sisters. Yeah. So you're going to see this, how this works, Carmen, because you're identifying with the two sisters having difficulties with one another. Remember that everyone is a reflection of us, Not that they're not like living, breathing human beings, but they're a reflection. They represent aspects of us. So if you're seeing your two sisters, that means that there's two places within you that are in conflict. So really, really go deeper with this. Like, what's this sister? What does she represent? What aspect of me does she represent? Usually judgment will come up, whatever the judgment is. Well, she's stubborn. She won't let go. She won't let go of this. She won't let go of that. Well, what's the other sister representing? Oh, she's so passive, right? She's so passive, and she just walks, the other sister walks all over her, right? So you look at both of them, they're both you. So it's like you have to do the I. I'm stubborn. I'm a doormat sometimes with certain people. And then you work through it. Okay. Mukundi's Virgo rising, one sibling still alive. So look at that. Or anybody in your life that's kind of sisterly, that plays the role of your passed on sibling, or the one that's still alive. Okay. And then Libras. Libras, right in their element, because they are all about relationships. Libra, rising, sun, or moon. So for Libra, it's happening in the second, the second house. 1, 2, the second house. So compromising your self-value, right? Compromising yourself, your sense of self, your self-value, not recognizing and knowing your self-value. Maybe becoming too dependent on other people, right? There can be a codependent dynamic there too. And then money, like how much you're worth, right? So the thing is with money, if you got a money problem, it's not a money problem, Libra. It's a self-value problem. That's your real issue. Once you do deal with the self-value of going into those places where you don't feel valued, then you'll attract it. You'll start attracting, right? When you value yourself, the world values you. That's how it works. Okay, so let's do I just want to check something out first before we do a card. Yeah, so self-esteem, compromising your talents. That's the house of your talents. And that's the ancient word for currency, is talent. And what you own, what you value, compromising what you value. So huge self-esteem issues, right? For Libra rising to deal with. Giving your power, totally giving your power away. And your finances will show you that. That's the thing with money, right? You can use money as a mirror. It's showing you where you're not in the flow, where you're not valuing yourself. Okay. Not getting paid for what you're worth, right? Compromising. Not asking for a raise if you're working under, not asking for what you're worth if you're self-employed. Okay. And what's Libra? What's the ego saying to Libra? What's the ego saying to Libra? Oh. The oldie but goodie. Victim. So it's an image of a person and the other person stabbing them in the back. So this is the consciousness that has to leave the planet. That's I've said forever, is victim. So you can feel victimized by your money and your finances. That there's no way out. You know those people, you give them a solution and they're like, they won't see it. The thing with victim is you can't see clearly anything. All you see is victim. So feeling like a victim in your life around your money and your self-worth. So if you feel like a victim, you have that frequency of victim in you, you're going to attract people that will victimize you. And this is the woke consciousness right now. It's like worshiping this because this keeps us out of our power, right? When they keep, like, there's the victim Olympics, like who's more victimized, who's more oppressed in the world? Well, let's give them the voice. Who's choosing to give them the voice? These negative forces that are pulling us away from our evolution. And there's people out there that are so get riled when they hear this. You're blaming the victim, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you need to be silenced. You need to be canceled. Your Twitter account's canceled now because you said something that went against this narrative, right, of the victim. So we have to start taking self-responsibility, right, for what we attract in our world. And maybe it doesn't make sense to the mind of like, why would I attract this to me? You know, well, you got to go back to your past lives. We don't know what we've done in our past lives. We don't remember, right? We drink from the pool of forgetting before we incarnate. You just have to trust that you are not a victim, right? You are not a victim. And this is a huge, that's a huge shadow pattern, is the 55 down there off the solar plexus. It's not activated during the lunar moon, but it's part of the solar plexus mutation that's happening. So feeling victimized, it's like, okay, you have to claim your self power. You have to claim your self-value and knowing your own value. You have to do that, right? And this is going to move you out of victim. It's like taking responsibility. I'm not a victim. I am not a victim, right? People form support groups around a victim identity. People stay in groups for 30 years, 40 years, still identifying as the victim. That keeps you out of your power, right? And not to say that there's room, right? There's definitely a stepping stone to get to empowerment. Like, do the healing work, lick your wounds with what you had to deal with, but then move on. It's time to move on. Okay, so you're not a victim in terms of your sense of self-value. And you'll stop attracting those people that want you there, right? Want you stuck in victim. That's the enablers. The enablers, they want victims to stay victims because then they can feel like they're okay and they don't have to do the work, right? They don't have to look at their own stuff. Oh, that person screwed up. I better help them. And totally, when you get empowered and moved out of the victim, your relationships start to shift and change, and you start to see people like, why are they there? Because you can get used by people, the enablers, right? Okay. What's here for Libra on your victim? This conspiracy, the ego telling us that we're victims. Okay, what's underneath? What's the gift for Libra? Tell me what the gift for Libra is. I think it's this one. Oh, another duplicate is homecoming. Homecoming. I forget who had this now. Homecoming. Who had homecoming? Coming home to the heart in relationships. Oh, it was Taurus, wasn't it? Was it Taurus? Anyway, there's a connection, maybe the Taurus and Libra. Because it was slowing down in busyness, right? Yeah. So Libra and Taurus have a connection, and they're both ruled by Venus too. So moving out of victim, this is a shift. What I see is a huge shift in your relationship dynamics. Maybe you've always played the victim, or you were the enabler right? And your relationships were always, oh, they're the victim, they're the oppressed, poor them. I'm gonna take care of them. I'm gonna save them. There could be this dynamic, right? And this is an unhealthy relationship. So I feel like this is what you're breaking out of, Libra, right? Is this victim trying to be the savior, right? With your partnership. And then this, right? There's no stabbing here. There's nobody stabbing anybody in the back. This is homecoming, right? So walking into the sun together, attracting, because this is all about relationships, attracting somebody that values you for you. Values you for you, not what you can do for them or to fulfill some kind of fantasy or expectations. Like truly being yourself, like homecoming. And once you do this, once you come back into yourself and value yourself, you're going to attract a partner that will be a reflection of this, right? Libras want to be in relationships. That's their school, right? They're here to teach other people about relationships too. So equality, right? And letting this go. Yeah. That's powerful, Libra. It's good. That's good. Okay. 2 hours. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Libras are amazing. They need to be more honest, though. Because there's a Libra, the two sides. They can be people pleasers, right? Libras. Okay. Ooh, Scorpio. Scorpio. This is your show, Scorpio. The South Node is right on your first house. Let's move this over. Okay, here we go. Okay. So it's right on your first house. So this is all about how you present in the world, right? Our first house is our rising sign. It's how we present in the world. It's our identity, right? So this is powerful. You're letting go deeply of how you come across in the world, right? This is about your physical body too. It's not about health. The sixth house is about health. This is your physical body. So compromising your body, like putting way too much focus on your appearance, you know, or attracting relationships that are want you to be the trophy. You know what I mean? Some people pick partners because they look good on their arm. They don't really care about what that person is on the inside. It's like, oh, they look good on my arm. It's like they're dating. I often wonder with some men, right? Some men want the blonde, the tall, skinny blonde with the big boobs, right? And it's not about that they're attracted to that woman. It's more for their friends. And I'm wondering, why don't you just date your friends? That's who you're trying to gain approval from. You're more in love with your friends than your partner. So it could be that like to not compromise, not give your power over to your appearance, like getting your self-value from how good you look, right? To watch that and letting go of anybody that's trying to put you in a box like that, right? That only wants you for your appearance. And of course, right? That's part of it why we're attracted to people, but it's more of it. We're coming together for different reasons for the Aquarian age. It's a spiritual attraction, right? That's what's really going to attract us. And that's true beauty, right? That's true beauty is that spirit shining through. That's radiance, right? We talk about that with brides, right? She's such a radiant bride. Well, why is that? Because they're going through a spiritual ritual, right? This is the true essence of marriage, like the sacred marriage. The man and woman are whatever the male polarity or the female polarity coming together for spiritual union. So it's like that spiritual energy is moving through And that's what people are picking up on. It's like the radiance of the bride, right? So you want to value yourself, that you're perfect the way that you are, that you don't need to change and run out and get Botox and plastic surgery, right? To attract a partner. Okay, so let's look at what the shadow is saying. And letting go of an old way of being and presenting in the world. Maybe Scorpio rising has to like go outside without the makeup on or something, right? Whatever you're attached to. And feel good about yourself. Okay. What is the ego telling Scorpio? Tell me what the ego is telling Scorpio. Oh. Speaking of savior, this is like the savior card. Not my job. It's not my job. So this, in terms of the first house, is trying to be that perfect fantasy, you know, for your partner. And it's not your job to save them, right? Or feed their ego needs, their egoic needs by being that perfect partner. Scorpio, morphing yourself into something that you think that they want, you know? It's not your job. Your job is to be yourself, your authentic self, your true and authentic self. And once you do that, right, when you make that shift inside, then you're going to attract the people that love you for your authenticity, not for how you look, right? This is just feeding in authenticity. Yeah. And Scorpios want depth. You know, they really want depth. They're deep, deep sign. Yeah. Okay, let's do, and it's our conditioning, right? That we have to look, look at those fashion magazines and stuff. And you look at the women's fashion. Who's running the women's fashion magazines? They're gay men. They want women looking like little boys. You know, not curvy or like super skinny. Don't believe in all that stuff, Scorpio, of what true beauty is. And you talk to any man who's honest, like any man that's honest, they're not attracted to that. Okay. Let's see what the gift is under not my job. Not my job to make my partner feel good. Make my partner's ego feel good. Inflate my partner's ego. That's not your job. Okay. So the gift underneath that is remembrance. So it's a person walking down a road, and a little angel, right? So remembering who you are, remembering where your true beauty comes from, right? That's what I see for this first house. Yeah, that you're not just this body, right? You're not a body. You're much more than a body. Physical body, much more than your physical form. Mm-hmm. And that you're made perfect, and right as the creation of God, you're perfect in every way. Okay, so no more compromising there, and that's going to bring more of an abundance relationships, right? Because it's the other side is the seventh house. Okay. Did I put that in the wrong deck? There we go. I don't want to mess these up. That one goes there. That one goes there. Okay. Sagittarius. That's right. What I say, yeah, don't believe everything you think. That's true, Karen. What was I going to say about that? I was going to say something about that. We'll just come to here. So Sagittarius. Okay. Sagittarius. Okay. Sagittarius, compromise happening in the dreaded 12th house. The 12th house is where everything is hidden, where it's like, right? You're blind. It's all dark. You can't see what's going on in there. And it's really, really deep, right? It's the unconscious. It's the unconscious ruled by Neptune. So this is a completion stage, and that's good news where you've been compromising, right? This is a pattern, karmic pattern that's been following you lifetime after lifetime of compromising. And this is where the 12th house is really interesting in terms of people, because you can't see clearly, right? There's a lot of confusion and there's a lot of glamoring and mirroring, right? It's like funhouse mirrors down there. That what happens is you see your friends as enemies, like your true friends as enemies, and then you see your enemies as friends, right? So this is kind of what you're letting go of, is this compromising for people with addictions, right? Let's talk about this, Scorpio in the 12th house. People with secrets, people who lie and cheat and deceive. You're letting go of all those people and letting go of this karmic wheel. So this is what I see with Sagittarius, is they're finally letting this cycle of patterning go that comes from deep, deep, deep within their unconscious, right? This is your ancestors letting these snakes go in your life, right? That have been deceiving you, right? So that you can attract something healthier for you. Okay. I just want to check something out first. Yeah. And this is where the 12th house too is where we can forget about ourselves, right? And become completely fixated and focused on another person. Yeah. So this is the mirage, right? The lunar eclipse is like illuminating, because remember the moon doesn't like to be seen, right? And there it is in the 12th house, and it's very emotional. It's the past, and it's in the 12th house. So things are going to be illuminated for you, right? These patterns will be illuminated for you. Yeah. So I feel a lot of people with addictions that you've been attracting, right? Making bad choices because you can't see them clearly, you know? So let's see what's for Sagittarius. Sagittarius. What's the ego telling Sagittarius? What's the ego telling Sagittarius? Tell me what the ego is telling Sagittarius. That one. Oh my God, we got this theme going on, you guys. Abuse. Third time we got abuse. So I can't remember. I know this is Cancer. You got a connection with Cancer. I forget what the other one is. The other sign. Okay, so abuse in the 12th house. This is a pattern coming from your ancestors, right? And wanting to save. To me, this is childhood. It's wanting to save, right? Wanting to save a parent who's maybe in a... This is the thing, right? We travel together. We travel together in clusters, soul clusters. So sometimes you're the child and the other person's your mother, or the other person's your father. Sometimes you come in, you're the mother, they're the child, and you play out these karmic dynamics over and over and over again. And so this is like abuse. You being abused as a child, lifetime after lifetime. Your mother being abused. Maybe she was beaten by her husband, like some kind of abuse dynamic. And this gets translated, right? Because there's the guilt. It's what we feel is guilt. This like free-forming guilt, because you don't know the 12th house. You don't know where this stuff's coming from. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You could be filled with guilt, right? And you don't know where this guilt is coming from. But maybe it's coming from 2 lifetimes ago where you were beating up your child who is now your mother, right? So you feel this guilt, and then this lifetime your mother's the mother and you're the child, and you want to save her, right? You want to save her because you feel so guilty, and you're seeing her being abused like you abused her in past lives. This is how crazy it can get, right, with the 12th house. So you want to compensate, right? So it's compensating for that guilt, and it's like, I'm going to save her. These are like deep obsession compulsions that come from the 12th house, so that I can get rid of this guilt, right? Because you don't even know why you're doing this stuff. It's like coming from so deep within you. So the good news is that this is ending, right? This cycle is ending because it's in the 12th house. So to look at this, right? Maybe you were the one saving and you didn't have time for your child, you know? I had a friend actually that went through horrible abuse with her stepdad and her mom, and he used to beat the mom up and sexually abused her, and just horrific, right? Horror stories. And her job as a child was making sure that her stepdad, she took the hammer out of, that was her job. I got to take the hammer out of his hands so he wouldn't kill my mother, basically, right? This is the karma that people come in with. That was her job. Is there any room for this child? When the child is like thrust into like the adult situation so early as a child, there's no room for this. So Sagittarius, that's what I would say, is to go back to your inner child and give your inner child permission to express whatever the abuse situation. This is like abuse. That's what I see for Sagittarius, is to go in whatever that abuse was and let your inner child express, right? That, and just feel, even if you don't know, you don't got to figure it all out with your head, to just let those feelings, I'm giving permission for these feelings to come up, because feelings from past lives can be very powerful, right? But what we do is like, oh, I'm going crazy. It's like, I have no idea where this is all coming from. That's the ego and the mind. It's just to give yourself permission to feel. I'm just going to let myself feel this dynamic, because this is deep. That's what I see, because it's in the 12th house position. It's really, 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 really deep. Yeah. Okay. And it's power, right? Scorpio is all about power in the 12th house. So power dynamics from past lives. Let's see what's under the so we got a little the inner child theme going on. That's 3 times that card was chosen. Okay. What's the gift? What's the gift for Sagittarius? What's the gift for Sagittarius? Oh. Wow. Sagittarius is going to have quite the lunar eclipse. This also has to do with your prosperity too. Because that guilt that you can come in, that's my sense, is like guilt coming in this lifetime. It can block prosperity from reaching us, right? Because I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. I was such a horrible person in my past lives. We've all gone in the dark, right? We're merging light and dark. We've all had our time on the dark side, and we all have our time on the light side, you know? So, and this is how we learn. That's my sense, is that we get the full spectrum of human experience. So we've been back and forth, you know? And I'm happy to be on the light side this lifetime, I must say. So let's look at the gifts here for Sagittarius is mastery. Mastery. And so this is the person on the fountain, And then the water's running over and there's people like basking in that water. That's mastery. So self-mastery and celestial speed up, right? So this is evolution on warp speed right here. Growth and healing on warp speed, celestial speed up and mastery. So letting yourself feel these emotions from past lives, just letting. So that's my advice for you, Sagittarius, is just give yourself permission. I'm just going to let it in. And the lunar eclipse is going to trigger that 12th house for that moon to start releasing, right? All these emotions from your past. Yeah. Past lives, each one, right? Where this got suppressed, you know? Yeah. And then you'll stop attracting the people with addictions into your life, right? Letting all that go. You're worth more. And it's not going to pay off the guilt. That's what the ego says. Well, you'll pay off your guilt if you become the savior in this lifetime, you know? And forgive yourself that you've been the recipient of this and you've been the giver of this abuse. Okay, that's beautiful for Sagittarius. And they're the spiritual teachers, right, Sagittarius? Okay. So, are we on Capricorn already? Almost to the end. Okay. Capricorn. Capricorn in the 11th house. Right. So this is all about your friends. So compromising your power. You're compromising your power to your friends. So making your friends, your group of friends, their opinions more important than your own. Right? So this is like calling up the friend, so-called friend. What should I do? This is going on, and making their voice more important than your own voice and your own knowingness and your own heart. Because again, with projection, Capricorn, people are projecting their own fears onto you. You know, they're projecting their shadows onto you. So they're not giving you, if they're not have done their spiritual inner work, they're not giving you a clear feedback. You know, they're projecting. That's what often happens with friends, is they think they're being a good friend, but they're not putting themselves in your shoes. They're just projecting their own fears onto you, you know? So you've got to watch that with the 11th house. And compromising this is like hopes and dreams too, the 11th house. So this is like, well, I can't wish for this, right? I can't wish or dream for this. I got to settle for second best. And Capricorns can be so like practical. They're not good for imagination and dreaming like Pisces, right? It's all about the goat and what's here and what's practical. And you got to do the right thing. You know, you got to follow the status quo, Capricorns. This is the best you can do. This is the definition of success, right? And so can really, with the shadow pattern, you can compromise what you really want, right? What you really want in life. What's top notch, top shelf, like I said in the last video. Not going for the bargain bin that's being presented to you. And the thing is, there's the external world that we see, but this is always shifting and changing, right? It's the phenomenal world. And why is it shifting and changing? Because we're shifting and changing. So when you get aligned with like your greatest hopes and dreams for this lifetime, like what do I really want? What do I really desire? Then the external is going to reflect that back. It's like, oh, Capricorn stepping into the position of co-creator. Wow, look at it, look at her. Right? Then the hopes and dreams start manifesting. So you can't get too attached on what's going on out here, right? I remember this with buying a computer back in Canada. I can't remember. It was like the G3, so that was what, in the 90s? The 90s? Anyway, this guy was selling his computer. So I went over to see it, right? And he's like telling me all the problems, what's wrong with it. And he's like, you don't want to buy this. He's like the worst salesman in the world. You don't want to buy this. This is what's wrong with it. And the motherboard and this and that. And so I'm listening to his words, but inside my intuition is like, no, this is your computer, right? It's your computer. It's fine. And he's like going to, and then I said, no, I'm going to buy it. He goes, are you sure you want to buy this? It's just, I tried everything and this wouldn't work and this one. And I said, I have full confidence that this is going to work, right? I'll make it work. So I took it away. And then I looked at the motherboards that he put in. He put in 2 different motherboards, you know, and they were both called Death Star. Death Star, right? And so right away it's like, because I look at life from, I don't look at life just like this, right? Like the physical. It's like it's all energy, right? And it's like, yeah, there's an energetic to that name. Death Star. No wonder it doesn't work, right? So what I did was got another motherboard by a different name, and it worked fine, right? As soon as I booted it up, right, it worked fine. It's like a great computer. So this is what I'm trying to say to Capricorn: don't get fooled by the Maya. What the Maya is showing you, like go inside, right? Don't look what's good on paper, especially with friendships. If you're looking for status, right? Capricorns love status and they want that friend that looks good on paper, right? That you can get fooled by that, Capricorn. You got to go inside, right? Go inside to determine the truth and the quality of your friendships. Because who you surround, they say, you become the 5 people that you hang out with. You become the 5 people that you hang out with, right? Because the friends can have a huge influence on us. So you want to get the top shelf friendships in your life. You don't want the bargain bin friends anymore. So that's what I'm feeling. It's like, because it's scorpionic, right? So these friends that are bad mouthing you behind your back. Look what she's doing, right? Look what she's wearing. She's this, she's that, and gossiping behind your back. Right? You want to let these making you feel crappy about yourself. And it can be really, really subtle, right? Like I remember this with my ex-wife. She would say, women are vicious towards one another. And I said, what are you talking about? I have never noticed that. And then she said, watch, they do the up down. And I said, what's the up down? And she said, well, you meet, right? You meet the other woman and then they go from your shoes up to your dress or your pants and your blouse and your jewelry. And it was amazing because I started to notice it. It's like the up down that women do with one another, right? Like really catty, right? So that's what my sense is with Capricorn. It's like there's a lot of that going on, but you're ready to let go of this influence, this negative, toxic influence on you and not compromising. Right? Maybe you've got no friends for a while, right? But it's better than having toxic friends around you. It's better to have no friends. And then once you value yourself, because it's a theme of self-value, and stop compromising, then the friends that are a match for you, that really value and appreciate you, will start coming into your field. And then your hopes and dreams, make your hopes and dreams more of what you want. Don't be afraid of like manifesting what you want, right? And Capricorns know how to manifest, right? I've got South Node in Capricorn, my past lives in Capricorn, and I know how to set goals, right? That gift just came in with me in this lifetime, and it's like my Capricorn is day by day. You just get up, keep doing it, keep plugging away, and it manifests. Okay, but your lesson is to open up, right? Emotionally, because Capricorns don't want to feel, you know? Open up emotionally, go to Cancer. And that your heart will tell you what you really want. Okay, especially in your friends, community of friends. Okay. Let's see what the ego is telling Capricorn rising sun or moon. Capricorns have been depressed. There's a depression. So remember that emotionally, depression is not before you run out and get antidepressant drugs. It's not going to help. That's just putting duct tape on the warning label in your car. This is showing you something. What's it showing you? Depression is anger turned inward. Anger turned inward. So you're angry, Capricorn, and it has to do with your friends, your group of friends who have been backstabbing you, right? Talking behind your back, talking trash about you, not valuing you, gossiping, all that stuff. So move out of depression by, I'm going to allow myself to feel angry, right? I'm going to feel this anger that's in me. And really it's about angry at the self, right? For compromising yourself, right? Saying things that you don't really mean, saying yes when you mean no, saying no when you mean yes, agreeing with BS coming out of your friend's mouth just so you can go along, right? So, yeah. So to move out of this depression, that it's really, really anger. That's what you have to deal with. Just let that anger come up around the friendships. So you can let new, and you may be dealing with the depressed friends too, right? So you always bring it inward. Oh, my friends are depressed. It means I'm dealing with depression too. The hopeless, right? That's what I'm feeling. It's like, it's hopeless. I keep attracting these Scorpio type friends, but they're going out of your life. And the thing with lunar eclipses, the surprises come. You find out what your friend's been really saying. You find out that they've been really not really a friend for many years, right? They let themselves be shown. You get the information you need. The universe is very generous with giving us the truth when we're ready to see it. Well, my friend told me this and it wasn't true. And they just said it because they didn't want me to be happy. That can make someone depressed, right? But they can make them angry. Okay. You know, that's the worst. You know, that's the one of the worst pains that we can experience as a human is what we believe to be true, we find is no longer true. What we believed was true is no longer true, right? So that's the betrayal. You're feeling betrayed by your friends. Okay, but once you get the truth, then you can do something about it, you know? And it's like, you're getting the heave-ho. Okay. What's the gift for Capricorn? Oh, this is a powerful one, Capricorn. Moving out of depression, giving those toxic friends the heave-ho, that's going to empower you, right? So I would say to use this gift of empowerment. And this anger is a fuel, right? Righteous rage. It's a fuel for transformation. And that's going to give you empowerment, the gift of empowerment. And where's that power coming from? It's not coming from the ego. That empowerment, she's catching it, right? She's got a little apron on, it looks like an apron, and she's catching the stars coming down. So empowerment is like aligning with the feeling, like, don't make it wrong. I'm angry, right? I'm angry. Even if you're feeling depressed and you got no energy, just acknowledge it. I'm angry. And that's empowerment. And this is, you're going to align, right, with that divine energy. That's going to empower you. So empowerment just isn't for you. It's for other people too. And maybe these friends need the mirror up, right? Maybe you need to show them the mirror. This is what you've been doing, and it's not okay. And I can see you now, right? It's like the rats in the corner, right? They got the light on them. You turn on the light, and there they right, they can, so that they can see themselves. They can see that shadowy. But you don't do it for them. You do it for you. But everyone benefits when we claim our power back, when we're empowered, you know? And it's going to free up this energy, right? That's like repression. And that's what Capricorn does really well, is repress. Keep those emotions down. This is going to free up a lot of energy for you. And this is connected to your prosperity, your hopes and dreams, right? Everything's going to start flooding towards you, right? When you let this go, let these friends go. Okay, that's good news for Capricorn. That's good news for everybody. Okay. Let's go for Aquarius. Yeah. Okay, Aquarius. And Aquarius is happening in the 10th house. So this is compromising with the boss or supervisor, someone that has power over you in the earthly realm. It can be a father figure too, Aquarius. So somebody that's playing a father figure in your life, like a dominant male, kind of bossy, authoritarian. There can be compromising. So saying yes when you mean no, saying no when you mean yes, giving your power over to this male. It's usually a male. But it can be a woman too, who's very masculine, very yang, right? That kind of... or your own father, like giving power over to your own father. Somebody who's got, that you view as having authority over you. Which isn't true, right? It's an illusion. Nobody has power over you. Not on the spiritual realm, right? But it's just they're playing that part until you say, enough is enough. I don't need you to tell me what to do and boss me around. I can make my own decisions. I can make my own... Right? Because people are terrified of taking their own power, because then with power and freedom, people talk a good talk, like, I want to be free. They don't want to be free, not really, because when you're free, you have to take self-responsibility for your life and what you create. So that's what I see with Aquarius, is like they're really need to step up, right? They need to totally step up. Because this is about your house of your soul purpose too, you know? And that you can make your own decisions for yourself. You can rule yourself, like letting God rule you, right? So take it off the person that's playing this role as the authoritarian in your life and bring it back to you, you know? Taking your power back, that's all it is with the 14. And that's going to bring you prosperity. Right? Bounteousness. That's the gift of the 14. So you could lose your job, right? So anytime you're losing a job, it's like, why you to like celebrate? Well, even if you get fired or whatever, it's not a failure. It's like you're being moved on to something greater and more aligned with you. So don't give it too much clout and power, because lunar eclipse is about, you know, things moving out of your life. Okay, so let's see what the ego is telling Aquarius. See what the ego is telling Aquarius. Okay. Okay, what's the ego telling Aquarius? What's the ego telling Aquarius? God, what's the ego telling Aquarius? Oh. We got another theme too. Is anger. Anger. So connected to Capricorn a little bit with depression. But this is externalized anger, right? So this could be Aquarius having anger towards little g too, right? Little g is the 10th house, the government. There can be some anger at that. There could be anger at anyone playing this authoritarian figure in your life. So if you want to do healing work, I would take it back to the father, issues with the father, or if you had a very yang mother and a yin father, because that can happen too, right? Is to go back there, like this anger that you feel. And again, let it come out, right? Let that anger come out in healthy ways. And I've got my great meditation, which I love. It's the meditation for childhood anger, right? Because really what this anger is about is the anger, you're angry at yourself, you know? You're angry at yourself for giving your power away, for compromising. Because whenever we betray our soul, because that's what it's really like, a soul betrayal, the shadow of compromise, there's anger of why did I do that? But it gets, the ego wants it projected onto someone else. It's them. They're so horrible and they did this and they did that. And it's like, you need to start taking self-responsibility. This is about maturing, Aquarius, coming into your spiritual adulthood, right? And really claiming this anger, right? And this is a fuel, like use this as a fuel for transformation and change and evolution, right? This anger. Yeah. And don't be in the victim, right? I remember going to movies, and you watch a movie for the first 10 minutes and you know where it's going. Like it's not going anywhere. You can feel it. Well, sometimes I would be, I got to stay, right? I paid this money, or I'm with somebody and I have to stay and watch this movie and go into victim, right? Like I've got no choice. Until it's like, you know what? That's 2 hours of my life. I value my time now, right? I value my time. I'm not going to waste it on a movie I know that's going nowhere. So I get up and leave now and get my money back, right? I just know. So this is about, but before I would get angry, like, why did I stay? Why did I stay in that movie theater? And I just wasted my time and I feel horrible and feel like I've been force-fed this negative energy, But you got to bring it back to like, I have choice. So that's what I do now. If I get feeling that anger coming up and getting into victim of like, I have to, that's when you go into like, no, I have choice. And I'll do that right in the moment. I could choose to stay or I could choose to leave. It's my choice. I'm not a victim. I get to choose, right? I can choose. That's what it means to be an adult, a spiritual adult. I get to choose. And then sometimes I'll choose to stay. And it's like, okay, I'm choosing to stay in whatever environment that I'm in, not necessarily a movie, but that means I don't get to complain. You know what I mean? If I choose to stay, I don't get to complain. I'm not going to complain because I chose to stay there, right? So this is what you have to do, Aquarius. And this is really a collective lesson too of us moving out of victim, that we have free will, we have choice. It's our greatest power on this planet is free will. Okay, so what's the gift for Aquarius under the anger? Okay. Confidence. Confidence. This is such a blessing, a gift for a leader, right? The 10th house is leader. Aquarius, this is going to give you confidence. So I see this really moving out of victim, being angry. The ego loves when we're angry. It feeds off that anger. People can feed off anger too, And this gives you confidence. Remember, confidence comes from the root word confide. So you're confiding in the divine. You're confiding into Big G, right? So the confidence to move forward in that 10th house, right? So maybe you're being called to do, the opposite of, or the 10th house could be about you becoming a leader and self-employed, right? And this is what you need to move out of this anger at the father, right? Anger at these authoritarian, like that really have no power over you spiritually, and then moving into the confidence that you need to move forward in your life, Yeah, it frees up a lot of energy, because the anger can take a lot, especially if we're trying to suppress it, like Capricorn, right? With suppressing the anger can take a lot of energy, right? So this frees it up for confidence. Okay, and let's go for Pisces, the last on the list. Pisces. Okay. Pisces. Sensitive Pisces. And that's going to be the 9th, right? The one that we haven't done. I've lost my brain, so I want to make sure. 12, 11, 10, 9, yeah. The 9th house. Okay, so compromising, Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising. So compromising in the area of your worldview. So having compromised there, giving your power over to what you see, right, out in the world. Giving that way too much power, right, Pisces? And it's also compromising your optimism, So getting more pessimistic maybe in your worldview. What else did I want to say about that? Maybe compromising too with a teacher, because you may be compromised yourself as a spiritual teacher. Pisces is connected to spirituality, so that could be the spiritual teacher getting compromising yourself. Maybe, stretching the truth a little bit because I need the money, right? I need that money. That's one of the biggest reasons we compromise is for survival. You may also be attracting teachers that are not in integrity right now, so you have to watch that. Compromise spiritual teachers. And again, like I'm telling you, any teacher that's saying, I have all the answers, you do what I say, you follow me, dogma, right? It's religion too. You want to run from them, right? They're not the true teachers. The true teachers are the ones, everybody's a teacher in a sense because they're teaching you if you go within. But the real teachers are pointing you back to you and your own intuition and your own intuitive knowingness. I was meditating on this the other day, that when I really formally went on my spiritual journey, I've always been interested in spirituality since I was a child, and had a sense of that there was more than the physical realm, like even as a child. I had the good sense not to tell anybody this, right? What I was seeing and what I was knowing. So when I officially went on my spiritual journey and started doing workshops and trainings and things like that, it wasn't like I was being taught anything I didn't know already. And I'm not saying that from an arrogant ego place. It was more of a remembering. That's what I felt like. It's like I was remembering, It's like, oh, I know that. Yeah, I know that. I know that. And it wasn't my mind. It was something else. It was a recognition, right? So that's what I feel like my spiritual journey has been really about, remembering, right? Remembering something I already know, right? Deep down in my being, that I know this. My spiritual journey has been really about my emotional work, right? Doing that emotional work. So that's what I feel with you, Pisces, because you're so spiritual and you rule Like the 12th house, you're in the 12th house, right? That's all about spirituality. That to trust that. Don't compromise yourself, right? Like listening to these false prophets and false teachers. Just know that I know this. So this is the thing, right? When we want to really learn, if you want to say or remember, what you say is, I know that I don't know, right? I know that I don't know. And as soon as you say that, you're freeing up the mind, right? This is the higher mind. The 9th house is the higher mind. Then what you don't know, right, will start to come in for you, right? Because this is downloads. The 9th house is downloads. So I know that I don't know. As soon as you say, I know this, right? I know this for certain. It's about your beliefs, right? The 9th house, it's going to limit you, right? It totally limits you. And then the divine can't come in with the downloads. They can't release this knowledge that's already inside you. So don't compromise. Like, really watch the spiritual teachers that you're following right now, and go back to my last video. I talk about how the New Age teachings has been infiltrated by the shadow, right? Giving us false teachings, false light, I call it, right? That keeps us away from our power to really, and not to get afraid, right? Like, oh, I can't listen to any New Age teachings. It's just like to know, I know that I don't know, and I'm going to let it come in, and I'm going to filter through me. I'm not going to decide with my mind if it's correct or not. I'm not going to research the teacher and see if he sexually abused students, and then I'm never going to listen to anything that comes out of his mouth, right? A stop clock tells the time, right? At least once a day. You know, God can work through anybody, right? So that's where you need to get to, because some people are like, I'm throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I found out that this person did this, and I can't believe a thing that came out of his mouth. Don't do that. That's very immature, right? That's a child's relationship to the spiritual. It's like, stay inside. You'll know what's true or not, because you'll feel the frequency of it. Remember, it's feeling through life, not thinking through life. And truth, capital T, truth, is a frequency that you'll feel and you'll recognize. That was my experience when I got on the spiritual journey. I was recognizing this. This is true. I remember this, right? All your memory is in your DNA. It's in your cells. And especially if you've had, South Node Pisces, or any connection to Neptune, right? Those planets in your chart. You've had past lives in mystery schools and Christianity and all that stuff, that it's already inside you. So that's what I would say to Pisces, is to trust that. Don't compromise. And let that abundance, the bounteousness of the spiritual knowledge to come to you, right, during this time. And anything that's not aligned, that lunar eclipse is going to take it away. Like, some information will come to you where this is bullshit. Right? This isn't growing corn, right? That old saying, Native American Indian saying, if it doesn't grow corn, it's not worth it. What's the fruits? What's coming out of these teachings? Is it a lot of mental roof noise, like really good, interesting talks, cappuccino talks about spirituality? Like, no. Is it changing your life? Are these teachings changing your life? Are they transforming you? Are they stretching you? Are you growing? Are you evolving through them? When you start to practice them, then they're growing corn. Those are the ones that you want to stick with, right? But you'll feel it. You'll feel it inside. So this should bring the sense of optimism back too for you, Pisces. Okay? So let's see what the ego is telling Pisces. The shadow. Compromise. So believing in yourself, believing in your higher self, Pisces. Everything you need's inside you. Okay. Pisces sun, moon, or rising. What's that ego telling Pisces? Nasty ego. Oh, yeah, this fits. So it's the shadow of inadequacy. This is so aligned with what I've been talking about, right? So the ego is telling you that you're inadequate, right? And if you're inadequate, then you need to go out and compensate. You need to go out in the external world and find what you need so that you can feel adequate again, right? This is a fool's game laid down by the ego, inadequacy. And interestingly enough, too, it's related to the 48, the 48th gate, right? It's the shadow of inadequacy. I'm going to bring the 48 in because it's a good match here. Is inadequacy. And so the 48 is about a deep well. The 48th gift is called resourcefulness, right? It's a deep well. So this is connected to the divine feminine. This is connected to the divine feminine. So the gift of this is the divine feminine. So it's like a deep well, right? So you're the deep, deep well, and you got to put the bucket, right? You put your bucket and you have to let it go down deep, 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 deep. Now, if you're identified with your mind, the bucket will only go down a foot. It's like there's nothing, there's no water. It's inadequate, right? It's inadequate. No, you got to go deep, deep, deep inside you to your divine feminine, right? Your yin. That's the Empress energy, right? You let that well go down, or the bucket go down deep, 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 deep. And then you pull it up, right? And you don't know what's in that bucket. And what's in that bucket is deep, deep wisdom, right? Deep, deep spiritual wisdom. So just know that it's inside you. You're not inadequate. You don't need to, and it's resourcefulness is the gift, right? Resourcefulness. So you don't need to be going seeking out spiritual teachers. You don't need to be going out and seeking out religion, right? Spiritual books and teachers and things like that. It's all inside you. A good spiritual teacher is always going to be pointing you back to you, right? Go inside. You have everything you need inside. Trust, right? The wisdom is inside you. It's inside me. It's inside everybody, right? So don't listen to this, the ego telling you that you're inadequate and you need to run out and follow some dead-end road that's going to take you nowhere, right? So just trust that. So you need to relax, meditate, right? Listen. Don't be listening to your crazy mind. Just listen to with your whole being. It's all there, Pisces. It's all there for you. Okay. And let's see what the gift is. I mean, I already touched into the divine feminine. Divine feminine's rich with wisdom. You just think that it's just like black and it's the void. It's like, no, it's filled with life. Everything's coming from that divine feminine. Okay, what's the gift for Pisces? Ending strong. You can see why we end with Pisces, right? It's all coming together. I can feel that in energy. Pisces, sun, moon, or rising. What's the gift under the inadequacy? There we go. Oh, wow. Pisces is in for quite the lunar eclipse. This is the ego's doom. So this is for Pisces, this is a major, major dynamic for you. This shadow of compromise and listening to the ego that says you're inadequate, you're not good enough, right? You need something, right? You need something more, you're not good enough. Don't be listening to that voice, right? Running and wasting your time, wasting your energy, right? Looking for something that's already inside you, right? And what happens? The ego is you're released, right? Not fully released. This is an enlightenment experience. It's an awakening experience that your ego is busted. right? A major dynamic. The jig's up, right? The jig is up. The lights come on, and there's that ego, and you catch him. You catch that ego whispering in your ear, right? You're inadequate. You're inadequate. You're not good enough. And you see it. I saw him. I heard him, right? It's not me. This is the ego's doom. So this is really, really powerful, right, for you. So really, again, it's like we're evolving through the emotional body. So you got to feel what it feels like to because with the knowingness of the inadequacy will become the emotions that are attached to that story, right? Because the ninth house is about stories. These are stories that you've been telling yourself, right? And you may have just come on your spiritual journey, right? Maybe you're new to it, right? You haven't been at it for a long time. It doesn't mean anything. People I know that have been on it for 30 years, they're still not growing and evolving, right? It really depends on your karma and the grace of God, right? So people can awaken really, really quickly during this time if you're really, really open to it, you know? So don't go into I'm inadequate because I'm a newbie or whatever. Yeah. Okay. And you spiritual people out there that have been at it for a long time, don't be getting resentful towards the ones that can crack open really, really quickly, like popcorn, right? We're like in the popcorn machine now. Okay. So that's the end for a while. Okay. And let's see. Have any questions here? Okay. Yeah, I agree, Sabrina, not to give anything our power, no matter how nefarious it looks, you know? And everybody's on their spiritual journey, their own journey of awakening. So it's going to look different for each person that we can't really go into judgment, you know? Okay. Okay, everybody. So thank you for joining in, especially the ones that sat through the long haul here. And have a wonderful lunar eclipse. And make sure that you're out, especially if it's the evening right now, to go out and have a little look at it and just be in the energy of it. And really go into that energy of letting go. Like I'm ready to let go so the new can come in for me, the new and the wonderful new chapter and new people and new stories. Just be open to just letting go and trusting, right? Fully 110% trust in the divine during this time. Okay, so I'll see you soon. Satnam Aloha.